Well, here we have today's exercise. It seems like we have to introduce the following numerical values, 6 and 2 in the cells A1 and A2. And then, in A3, we should have an expression that calculates the sum of both amounts. In the following cells, we have to calculate the difference, the product, the quotient, and lastly, the power. Alright, so it also tells us to introduce in cell 8 the sum of the 5 values obtained, and it gives us the clue that the result should be 27. Let's do it! Let's get started by going to the Excel sheet. They tell us to enter the values 6 and 2 in cells A1 and A2. This step couldn't be simpler. We write the constant values in the first A3. In the next one, they tell us to calculate the sum of these two numbers. The sum of these two numbers, well, in order to get that we will have to use an expression. The expression must start with the equal sign. We have to start with what's in cell A1. We now proceed to select it, plus the contents of cell A2. We can also appreciate that each of the references to each of the cells showcases a color. That means that we can be sure we have done it right. So the moment we hit enter, it will process this expression, giving us the result. In this case, it is logically 8. The exercise also told us to try to calculate the difference between these two. 6 minus 2 will be 4. Now we also have to create the product of the values. A1 multiplied by, and here we type asterisk, multiplied by A2. We press enter. It gives us 6 multiplied by 2 equals 12. And lastly, the division is very easy as well. It is divided by A2. As you can see, we can also do this whole process in a combined way. Let's notice that, whether it's in uppercase or lowercase in the references, Excel will understand perfectly regardless. At least it will understand and process correctly the expression as long as we input the information in the right order. A1 instead of 1A, but that is quite obvious. Logically, the quotient of 62 is 3, and finally, we must calculate the power of the value. The power equals this number elevated. Remember that it is with a circumflex, this other number. 6 squared, which make 36. Everything is correct, and they told us to obtain in A8 the sum of these 5 values that we have obtained by an expression. We would show a new expression slightly more complex that make use that successively adds the result of all the previous expressions. Well, it's as easy as putting an equal sign to indicate to Excel that what comes next is an expression. And indicating the results, this was not. Until we don't give the operation that forms part of the expression, it is not going to consider this cell as valid. Note that we are selecting alternatively until we find the one we are looking for, which is the sum, which is A3 with contents 8. We click plus, so A3 is now in position and it lets us enter another. Adding in this case would be this plus this, plus this plus this. Note that each of the references have a certain color which corresponds to the corresponding cell. This here, this spreadsheet, it is very simple, but in more complex spreadsheets it will be very useful to see that we have not made a mistake in a reference or if we have referenced a cell incorrectly. Okay, when we finally hit enter, we will validate this expression and then Excel will calculate it and will show us that in cell A8 the result of this expression is 63.